Alright, this is Cats in Camo. We're back on the range with the Pheonix Arms HP 22. We shot paper with it. We're going to shoot steel, and I want to tell you up front, our normal course here, we do 2 shots on the torso that it'll move a little bit and you can hear it, and then normally we have those 5 zombie heads and we knock them down. The 22 ammo we're using is not the hottest on the market, and there's a good chance, especially with the breeze blowing this way, that those zombie heads are not going to fall down. So watch and listen. See how I hit? We'll do 2 on the torso, 5 total on the zombie heads, and then 2 on the torso over there. I've got 10 rounds in this little guy. Let's see how we run. Pheonix Arms HP 22. We actually put a couple of them down. Those zombies were weak. I think they were malnourished. It's very hard to find brains in this area. Allie, what we have set up for you is your normal obstacle course of doom. You want to take the nice people through what you're going to do?
Alright, we're going to start off with the 2 water jugs. Then we're going to move on to the soda bottle. And then go to the 2 soda cans. And finally finishing off with the shaving cream.
Okay, Pheonix Arms HP 22. Really?
Yeah.
Reverse style.
Oh my gosh.
Touchdown!
How many rounds do I got left?
I don't know. Nice, good finish.
Alright, we are back from the range with our tiny little Pheonix Arms HP 22.
It's a fun little gun. It is. That steel frame makes it very stable to shoot. It makes it a little heavy as a pocket gun to just slip into a windbreaker or especially a sweatshirt where it tends to bag. But on the range, it's still fun. Well, let's start our review. We have 8 categories with a score of 1 to 5. So we're going to start with comfort of grip. And for all that this is a little gun, and my hands are larger than this gun is, it's still a nice design. It's comfortable to hold. The magazine that we've used has a finger extension, so I can actually get my whole hand on the gun. So I kind of like that, and it takes it from being an unpleasant little gun to an average, easy to hold. I gave it a 3.
I would have to agree. I didn't necessarily need the extra extension, but even just the gun by itself, it seems comfortable, but also standard.
Let's talk about the sights on this gun. This gun has a permanent, just a raised front blade sight, and really small rear sights. They're fine for shooting up close, but if you get out beyond 10 yards, the gun's actually a little bit hard to pick up your targets and focus on for accuracy. So a little bit below average. I would like to have seen a little bit better sights, so I'm going to give it a 2.
I understand that with a tiny gun comes tiny sights, but in my opinion, these sights didn't help at all. I tried to use them to target what I wanted to shoot, and the bullets seemed to go in every other direction. So the sights were not helpful for me, so...
Blame the sights.
I am going to blame the sights. That's why I'm only giving it 2 out of 5.
2. Well, let's talk about the trigger. I like the trigger on it. It's got a good, very tactile trigger that's not a hard pull, but at the same time, you don't have accidental shots going off with this gun. I actually really like the feel of this trigger. I'm giving it a 3.
I would have to agree that it's a nice trigger. It does what I expected it to do. There was no delay in the trigger. There was no firing before I expected it to. So it met my expectations. So 3 out of 5.
Well, let's talk about perceived recoil. This gun, though, being all steel, it's a steel frame and slide. The recoil is almost non-existent. I mean, I'm shooting it and hoping that there will be a little bit of a kick because it's almost not fun. Like I'm not shooting an actual gun. This, I'm giving it a 4 on perceived recoil.
I don't know where to go with that. That's so accurate. I mean, it doesn't have...
It's why I get the big bucks.
There's no real recoil to this gun. So I feel more confident carrying it or firing it because the more recoil there is, the more I'm scared to use it. If there's less recoil, I feel more confident. I feel like I could, pick up this gun and fire it if I needed to without worrying of it backfiring on me. So yeah, 4 out of 5.
Let's talk about accuracy. This gun is not as accurate as I would like it. It works fine for what it is and for its size. It's a 3-inch barrel with really small sights. So for all that, it's actually surprisingly accurate. But it's not like the Mark II or the Buckmark, the competition 22 shooters. But it works just fine. It's good accuracy for learning and for training. I give it a 3.
For me, I didn't necessarily have the best luck with this gun. On the paper targets, it hit. It might not have hit exactly where I wanted it to, but it hit. As I came to the specialty course with different size objects, it became harder for me to hit the smaller ones, though. 3 out of 5.
Well, let's talk about ease of reload. This little Pheonix, you actually have to move a lever, and I'm going to move this. To get the magazine out, this lever here has to be up to take the magazine out, and then down to fire it again. So when you're shooting and it locks open on the last round, you can't just drop the magazine, put a new one in, and drop the slide. You have to remember to thumb this up, then thumb the magazine, release, put the next magazine in, and then thumb the lever again. And that slows you down, it causes problems. And if you were ever to use this gun in any sort of self-defense situation, not that it's a great self-defense gun, but 22s can be viable self-defense options. That's going to slow you down and possibly cost someone their life. This is a design flaw that I'm kind of upset about, in case you can't tell. I give it a 1.
I agree that it is kind of a hassle and an inconvenience to have to flip that switch not just once but twice. But I also recognize the intent that it was meant for safety purposes, and having those safety functions in the long run could be beneficial as well as harmful, so it wasn't quite as harsh as a new shooter. I kind of appreciate the safety mechanism, but at the same time it was a hindrance for trying to reload it, so 2 out of 5 is what I gave it.
Reliability. The Pheonix Arms is actually, it's not that bad. It's an inexpensive gun. Once it's broken in, it'll run most 22 ammo through it, and it's subject to more jams and failures to feed and eject than some of the other 22 semi-autos on the market, so I'm going to give it a 2.
As a new shooter and only firing this gun a couple times, it did seem to have an adequate reliability, where I pulled the trigger and it fired. It did what I wanted it to do, so industry standard, it met my expectations, 3 out of 5.
So let's talk about ease of maintenance and cleaning. It's not horrible. it does work. It's better than a couple other designs that are out there. So I'm going to give it a 2. It's less than average, but it's not. I'm not going to write hate mail to the company about it.
I haven't seen a gun that complicated to take apart and put back together. I mean, there are some that obviously have more components to them, but this one almost seems like the safety features work against it.
Oh, yeah.
Where it just, again, if you forget one tiny thing or you move too fast at one section, you're going to lose a part. So watching him put this, take it apart and put it back together, that's not something I would want to do. I would not want to actually put myself through that. So I only give it a 1.
Let's total up our bullets. I gave it 20 points total.
And mine didn't add up much higher than that, only coming in at 21. Seems like that's all the time that we have for today. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. And if you enjoyed this video, point those crosshairs at the like button down below and stay tuned for more reviews coming soon. See you then.